That's so beautiful. Oh my goodness, these are on sale. Oh, they're the most beautiful ones here. I can't believe it. They're just beautiful. I remember when I first came here and I looked out my window and I saw cherry trees and a gazebo, and I couldn't believe it. I could not believe my luck.
Some girls, they want the moon, handed down by this week's buffoon. But my heart makes no such demands. I've made this short list, please have a glance. To sleep in all day and wake up in your arms with the sound of the rain on my window drumming away. I'm keeping it short and sweet. My bucket list.
Hey everybody, I'm so happy to see you today. Thank you so much for coming back and seeing me and Desi today. You know, today I am doing something different. I am doing a 1-bedroom apartment tour. Well, my apartment. Anyway, if you have a 1-bedroom apartment, can you call it a tour? Well, I'm going to call it a tour, and I hope you enjoy it. You know, you've been asking me to do this for years, go through, my favorite furniture and artwork and belongings, and so I'm going to do that. And the other reason I want to do it is I hear from gals every week that are downsizing for one reason or another from a large home to a 1-bedroom apartment, and just like me, they're scared to death. So I want to make this video in honor of them. I want to dedicate it to every woman that is downsizing and is a little bit scared, because you can make a small apartment your castle. You can. And for the last 7 years, this is the only home I've ever known, and it's been a very loving, healing place. And this is probably the last year that I will live here. And I'm getting very wistful and sentimental about it, because a part of me really doesn't want to go. So I want to share with you my journey. I think a lot of us, when we're getting older and we are downsizing, we turn that downsizing into more of a downgrading in our hearts and our minds. And I think it's so important to try not to do that. One way to kind of fight that is look at the grounds in which your apartment is located. And that's what I did here. The grounds were so beautiful. There were woods for me and Cooper to travel, and there were birds, and it was in the country, and it truly was, the landscaping was so beautiful. So I kind of felt, no, I'm not really downgrading, am I? I'm upgrading. And, okay, well, maybe that wasn't true, but it sure felt true. The landscaping was so beautiful. But I think that's a wonderful tip, that if there's something that you truly love, if there's water or the woods, or maybe you love reading, you love a library, anywhere you can find an apartment that speaks to you and your spirit, I think that's the apartment that you should go for. This is the view of my 1-bedroom apartment when you first walk in. There's my cute little bench. You guys were with me at the Salvation Army when I got that last month, but I thought that was so welcoming when you first walk in my apartment in the little hallway. I always love to have my fresh fruits and vegetables on this little hutch that I got. I got that hutch for almost next to nothing, and I just think it adds such warmth to the kitchen. There's so many twinkle lights here. And And I told you a long time ago that twinkle lights, represent to me all things good. I used to help my grandfather decorate the Christmas tree, and I would always, get tangled in the twinkle lights, and he'd always rescue me. For those of you who have followed me a long time, you're probably used to looking at these little twinkle lights behind me as I talk. Well, this is what is up here in my kitchen. A lot of my blue china and my blue pottery, and all of it holds a lot of very dear memories for me. Because the apartment is small, I wanted to make sure that where I ate felt like a separate area from where I would watch television or prepare a meal. So I kind of created this little space using the back of my sofa. I chose a glass table because it was so light and airy, and I could put little twinkle lights underneath there to just kind of cheer me up. I got that glass table at Pier 1. I believe it was about $199. This piece of art is Show Me the Way. That is sheet music by a song written by Irving Berlin. And of course, this is from, I believe, the 1920s. Bill took that in 1996, and for my birthday, he had this professionally framed for me. And it has always held such a special place in my heart. Another thing that you see when you first walk in is this beautiful Bombay chest. This is one of my very favorite pieces of furniture, and it has a very beautiful marble top. And the piece of artwork is Christina's World by Andrew Wyeth, and I think that artwork, so many of you have noticed that artwork on my wall, and it shows such isolation of how a woman can feel. She's so far away from her home. This is an area that you're going to see when you first walk in my door. So I always like to have this area with a vase that has fresh flowers. I think fresh flowers is just so welcoming. And I also think that it's a morale pickup. I mean, if nobody's going to send me flowers this week, what the heck? I'm going to get my own flowers. The little living room that I created for myself, and of course there's nothing by accident here. The artwork that I have chosen all tells a story and represents something to me that I felt that meant something to me. Being on my wall cheered me up. This cabinet here, my grandfather made that in the 1920s, and it's one of my favorite pieces of furniture. It's an old radio cabinet. In my apartment I have a lot of Maxfield Parrish prints, and I think that once you start collecting Maxfield Parrish, I think you're hooked for life. I have my antique wall pockets that I absolutely love. They're all throughout the apartment. Sherry Bloom paintings, and I think in the new apartment I will take more of a simpler, more minimalist type of a look. But a lot of this was just brought with me because I needed the comfort. I guess the next piece of advice that I could give that really helped me is, I was dirt poor, but I went and I bought decorating magazines from the drugstore, and I went through those pages of beautiful rooms that were decorated. I went through those pages like I had $1 million to spend. And I got so many ideas, and what I would do is I would cut out a few things that I really loved, and then I would go to the thrift store. And I remember I had cut out this beautiful plant stand that I saw that was lit from inside, and I thought, wow, I could never afford that. And yeah, you guessed it, I went to Goodwill and I found it. And I strung some twinkle lights inside, and maybe if I get a chance I'll show that to you on the tour. But I don't know, it made me feel, you guessed it, like $1 million. I think that surrounding ourselves with the things that we love makes any house a home, no matter how big or small. So if you are in love with certain pottery, if you are in love with a certain artist, maybe a certain musician, a certain author, whatever it might be, the love of your children or your grandchildren, but to try to get as much artwork that reflects those things that you love and hang it on the wall, and who cares what it looks like. But every time when you wake up in the morning, it gives you hope and inspiration, and it reminds you that life is beautiful. These little mice, I remember years ago, one of my very first Come Shopping With Me thrift store videos for YouTube, I found these little mice, these little mice warriors at the Salvation Army, and then I kind of moved them around like they were following me in the video. I didn't know what I was doing or what I was filming, but I had such a wonderful time. I had never even heard of willow figurines until I was thrifting one day, and then it was so exciting for me to find these beautiful figurines that were so expressive, only without faces, and that had a profound effect on me. Everything here holds such meaning. This is a shoe that my son made me for Mother's Day when he was 6 years old. And that to me is worth more than 100 designer handbags. That's so precious to me. You know, I do love my bedroom. For a one-bedroom apartment, I think it's very spacious. I have a queen-size bed. I have a nice window there, so when I wake up in the morning, I see the gazebo and the cherry trees. And my theme for my bedroom was to kind of create a theater-type vibe, a theater atmosphere of where you would go to change your clothes if you were going to go on stage. You know, when I first moved here, and Cooper and I looked out the window and we saw the deer, and now, you know, little Desi and I, we look out at night in the dead of winter and there's deer outside, and it's life. You know, sometimes if you move somewhere and you are by the woods and the grounds are beautiful, sometimes your apartment just doesn't have a very nice view, you know. The view is over a parking lot or something. But so many times you can get on a waiting list, you know, to get that, you know, beautiful apartment in your building, but only the one that overlooks the water or the woods. So that's always an option for you. And always, you know, you're always allowed, at least here in my city, you're allowed to have your own little garden outside your window. One of my very favorite pieces of furniture is this pretty Eastlake cabinet. I picked this up decades ago at the Salvation Army. I just couldn't believe it when I saw it. I think the color is so beautiful. It's the original hardware, and I love the way that it's carved. I have multitasked this. I use it as an end table, and I also use it for my costume jewelry. I picked up these little dividers at the Dollar Tree, and they really do come in handy as far as separating your costume jewelry, the silver from the gold and the colors. This is a beautiful painting that I've hung over my bed by R. Franklin, and he's a wonderful artist. I believe he's from Arizona, and I chose this piece because she looks so much like the women in my family. I've done my bathroom in reds and peaches, and I have some really cute peach towels. In my bathroom, I've tried to use artwork, you know, from all over the world to, you know, I may not get to travel, but I feel like through some of the pieces of art that I've chosen, I feel like I get to travel every day. You know, I think one of the things I've enjoyed most about living in this apartment is these two huge windows that are more in the design of windows that you would find in a home. And I get to see my cherry trees every spring, and my gazebo, and I get to see the woods and the benches, and it's really been a very beautiful place to live. You know, in about 6 months, Desi and I will be moving, and, you know, it's a little scary, you know, but then I think about, you know, well, how did Desi feel like a year and a half ago? You know, when he ended up at the animal shelter and he was so scared and he was hiding under a cot. I mean, now that's moving. Now that's change. And anyway, he ended up here and things are good. I don't know where I'm going with this story, but all I know is that, I don't know, moving is scary. It's no day at the beach, but I'm so grateful for the opportunity to reinvent myself once again. And there's something about a little one-bedroom apartment that can be so magical. It really can. Thank you so much for spending this time with us today. I loved every second of it. Please have yourself a wonderful brand new week. And down below, if you're moving or have moved and you have any stories, please share them with us. I would just love that if you have time. So please come back and see me and Desi if you get a chance, okay? All right, it's a deal. I've shared my home with you these past 4 years. It's not going to be easy to say goodbye. But when one journey ends, another one begins. Every so often I grow tired and I flirt with the idea of retiring. Sitting in my gazebo, sipping tea and reading romance novels. Not every day is a good day. But every day is an important day. There are no easy answers. There is no magic pill that will take my troubles away. But I always keep in mind my favorite poem by Robert Frost. Your woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep and miles to go before I sleep. And miles to go before I sleep.